Zapier integration webinar, and going to just before we get started, I want to just kind of go through, do a little housekeeping. Hey, real quick, can you guys hear me? There's been rumors that sometimes you can't hear me. So in the chat, if you would please just let me know. Yes, you can hear me. Connor, loud and clear. Brenda, thank you very much. Good to see you again. And cool. Well, so you guys can hear. That's good. I'm going to give it about one more minute, then we'll kick this thing off. This webinar is a lot different than the ones earlier, than the getting started, because what we're going to do, I'm going to show you guys how to do some things in Zapier, but if you can, if you're close to your computer or if you're on your phone, it's okay. We'll record this thing. But one of the things I want you guys to know is that if you can, get in a position where you can open up Zapier, and that way if you have any questions about what you're seeing with your own email service providers and Zapier, then you can ask questions about that, and if I can help you answer them, then I'll be more than happy to. If not, we can always take it offline to a one-on-one call. So we're going to, let's go ahead and get things started. Just so you guys also know too, I'm going to close this little window. We've got our top support guys on the line, so they can hear and see your questions. If something crazy pops up and maybe I just need to stop and explain something, they'll stop me and I'll answer the questions. Otherwise, feel free to ask whatever question you want throughout this webinar, and the support guys will take care of you in the chat. Otherwise, we will, if there's anything major in there that I need to answer in front of everybody, I will be happy to do that as well. So with that said, it's 4:01. Let's kick this bad boy off. We are in the Zapier integration webinar, how to connect your bucket.io to your email service provider with Zapier. And if you're not familiar with Zapier, it's a software that connects web softwares together. So it's like just a big connection platform. As bucket.io is a software and your email service provider is a software, Zapier acts as the middleman to take your data from your from Bucket, from either your surveys or your segmentation funnels, and it routes that to your email service provider. That way, we can allow you, just right off the bat, as soon as you come in, to start using any email service provider you want without having to go change things or break things just to use the bucket.io service. So let's get into this. I do want to just real quick remind you that at the end of this call, I will send out a link so that you can access the Bucket Specialist one-on-one calendar. If you have any questions, need help with either your Zapier integrations or anything else like that, you will have access to a specialist to get on the phone with you, look over your shoulder, point you in the right direction so that you can get moving forward. And I'll discuss that more in detail. It's 100% free, and we give the link out to the scheduler at the end of the webinar. All right? So the big thing here is that by the time that we're done with this webinar, I expect you to be able to connect bucket.io to your Zapier account. If you weren't here a couple of seconds ago and you didn't hear me say this, if it's possible, go ahead and get Zapier pulled up, get Bucket pulled up if you can. We're going to be able to go in and do a few things inside Zapier. I'll let you follow along here, ask questions. If you see something inside of your Zapier that doesn't look the same as it does on mine, you can feel free to ask in our Q&A section. And like I said before, if you still have questions, we'll get those taken care of one-on-one. All right, so first things first. The most important thing when it comes to sending information to your email provider from Bucket is it starts at your Zapier tags, okay? And I'm going to show you what those mean in a second, or where those are and where you do that and how. But what it basically is saying, a Zapier tag tells Zapier what someone filled in on your survey or in your segmentation funnel. All right, and I'm going to show you how that looks right now. So I just jumped over to Bucket, and we're going to go ahead and pull up. I'm just going to pull up a segmentation funnel here. Got a couple here pulled up. Let me close this thing. So I'm going to open this test segmentation funnel here, and real quickly, I'm going to just show you kind of what this thing looks like, just so you know what we're looking at here, what we'll be doing. This is just a simple segmentation funnel with a simple pitch for a free book. We got a little video on it, a little Tony action, and then once you click this button, it brings up the segmentation funnel, right? And so you've got this first question where the person will choose. Then you've got your lead capture form where you would put in your name and then your email. And then you've got your thank you page where you can go off and purchase the, I don't know, whatever this thing sells on the back end. So that's the funnel. That's what we're looking at here. So what we're wanting to do is send, let's start it real quick. What we want to do is send to our email service provider, our email marketing system. We want to know what this person told us. We want to know what bucket they're in, what segmentation they chose, and we want their name and email address, right? So that we can market to them in the future based on the selection that they gave us. Well, how do we tell our email service provider that that's what the person said and what their name and email address is for that matter? And that's what we're going to dive into now. So like I said before, it starts with the Zapier tag. All right, and so you've probably seen it when you add a question, you've got your ability to add the question name in. So yes, Tony, please send me my copy of Business Mastery. And then you've got this Zapier tag here, where in this case, I've got test seg Q1. So you can set up your tags however you want. Just make sure that they're easy for you to remember later on when you're in Zapier choosing a field. So what I do is, in this case, I took the name of my funnel and I put Q1 because it's the first question, right? And you can see here, I don't have one. So I'm going to put, in that one, I'll do test steg Q2, okay? Now, what happens now, and the reason I use these Zapier tags is that when I go into Zapier later, and we'll walk through this part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose in Zapier, with my email service provider, if I've got a field called roadblock, then I am going to tell Zapier to send whatever my customer or my prospect chose. That's the answer I want to go into that field. And this is how we'll do it. And I'll show you exactly how in a second. There's also a couple of other things that we can do with the Zapier tags. You notice here you can put a Zapier tag on your outcome page. So this way I can say, hey, this person, not only did they fill out a lead or answer a certain question, but they saw a specific outcome page. So if I'm doing testing, if I'm running multiple pages, I can say this was test seg outcome, and then I can do A, right? Or I could put like a version of it so I know what outcome page this person saw. And again, you can get as creative as you want with your marketing, but the Zapier tags, basically all that's going to do is it's going to send this information to your email marketing service provider so that you can use that later on in your email segmentations. And so that's how the tagging part works. Real quick before I move on, do we have any questions really popping up on this section on actually putting the tags in? Is there anything in here that looks like it might have lit up?
Hi. No, we still don't have questions Yeah,
Okay.
well, no, a couple questions, but one not related to the topic.
Okay, great. So then we're just going to keep pushing on then. So now that we've gotten our Zapier tags added into our builder, the next thing is to configure the Zap for each of your funnels or your surveys. And the way that we do that is we go to Configure, and then we choose the integration, and then we click Integrate for Zapier. And then, of course, we always want to continue with the test lead. Again, this just makes it so much easier if you do it that way. Now, you'll notice the screen, My First Zap with bucket.io. This is what you're going to see every time you click that if you're already logged into Zapier. So I'm going to create the Zap. Now, if you have not already connected your bucket.io account to your Zapier, here, let me just, oh wait, this is a segmentation. What you're going to want to do is click Connect an Account, then come back over to your bucket.io, click your name, click on Account Settings, and then grab this API key and copy that. Then you'll come back over to Zapier, click on the Connect an Account. It'll bring up this pop-up window, and then you'll just enter your API key there. You just paste that in, hit Yes, Continue, and your bucket.io account will be connected to Zapier. And it's a one-time thing. You don't need to keep doing that every time. So once you have your account connected, just hit Save plus Continue. You're going to choose the segmentation funnel. In this case, we're using Test Seg Funnel. So just choose the segmentation funnel you plan on using. Hit Continue. Hit Fetch and Continue. And, of course, you know what? If you ever see this happen, I'm glad this happened here. I have done probably so many different things with this specific funnel that it's just not going to let me do it. If you ever see this error, we could not find the segmentation, what you want to do is you want to go back to bucket.io. You want to click on Segmentation Funnels. And then what you want to do is you want to clone the funnel that it wouldn't let you connect to. And like I said before, this will be recorded. So if this ever happens to you again, you can't quite figure it out. We have it in the help, but if you just want to jump back into this, you'll have access to this again. So what I did is I clicked on this 3 dots and I clicked clone, and now I have the copy of Test Seg Funnel, right? And I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to come back over to configure. And this time, I'm going to just change the name of this to Zapier Test Seg Funnel. I'm going to save the changes to that. And just so that just to kind of keep the training, to where you can see what I would do in a situation like this, is I'm going to come back over to the builder. Remember before I called it Test Seg Q1? What did I name this thing again? Zapier Test. All right. So what I would do, if this was a live funnel and I was literally messing with multiple funnels, I would come back over here on the Zapier tag, again, just because I am a complete freak about keeping these things together. And I would just change that to Zapier Test Seg Q1, right? Just so I would have it saved as the name of the funnel that I'm working in. Oh. And save that. And I usually don't use that here anyway. So what I'm going to do now, just so you know what I did, again, just to reiterate, since I changed the name of the funnel, again, just to keep the naming so that I know where things are when I go and set up my Zap. I changed the name of the Zap tag of the Zapier tag here in the builder. So that's what that's what I was doing there, just in case you were wondering why I was jumping back around. So now what I'm going to do is come over here, go back into integration. I'm going to click integrate, continue with the test lead. Again, the same exact process. The only thing that happens is I have abused that segmentation funnel. That's why it didn't work very well with Zapier, why there was that error. Do a new segmentation. Already connected. I'm going to choose the Zapier test subfunnel this time. And now I'm going to fetch and continue, and the test is successful. Great. So now I have the Zap working with my segmentation funnel. So I'm going to click continue here. And the next step is to connect your email service provider. So what I typically do in any other demonstration outside of this Zapier one is I usually stop here. I show you all the things that you can connect with. But this is why I was saying earlier, it would be a good idea right now if you have Zapier or if you have this set up to get to this point so that you can see what your own fields look like. Because I have an active campaign and I have an Entreport already connected, and so I'll be able to show you what happens next. But yours is going to, if you don't have active campaign, if you have like Infusionsoft or MailChimp or ConvertKit or Drip or whoever else you have, your next few screens are going to look different from mine, but you're going to be doing the same things, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to choose active campaign because I already have it connected. Now, what I'm looking for when I've got new leads coming in or new traffic coming into a segmentation funnel or even a survey, really, is I'm looking to update or create a new account or a new contact, I should say. So in Active Campaign, that's called Create Update Contact. In MailChimp, I think it's something similar to that. It might be, the wording might be a little different. Here, let me actually back up a second. I think Entreport is a little bit different. But ultimately, it's the same thing. I'm looking to create or update a contact, okay? So then I'm going to choose that option here. I'm going to save and continue, and I've already connected my Active Campaign account. If you haven't already, and this is another thing too, they're all different. Like, real quick, I'm going to actually bring you over to what Active Campaigns look like. I pulled it up earlier just to show you. So in Active Campaign, what you got to do is come over, your settings, and then developer, and then you pull the this API access information here, right? But on MailChimp, it's totally different. Infusionsoft, completely different. What you're looking for, though, is your API access. And most times, when you go to connect the account, it'll kind of tell you what they're looking for. So for Active Campaign, it tells you right here, log into your Active Campaign account, click My Settings, and then go to the Developer tab on the menu, right? And it tells you what to pull. Most cases, they'll tell you how to do it. If they don't, what I would say to do is just log into the help section of your email service provider, and then just do a quick search for Zapier. Because again, most people that connect to Zapier will tell you how to. So I'm going to close that because it's already connected. So that's what I would do right now. If you currently are not connected to your email service provider, I would just connect the account, see if there's instructions on how to do it. If not, jump over to your email service provider and do a quick help and see if they'll tell you in their help section how to get to the Zapier stuff. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit save and continue. And this is where this is the fun part. This is where you're creating the template for your leads. Okay, these are leads that are coming into your email service provider. And so what you're going to do now is direct that template for specifically to this the funnel that you're working with. So in this case, you know what? I'm going to change the name of this. If you don't change the name over here in your Zaps, it'll get crazy because they'll all say My First Zap. So I'm just going to do Zapier test segmentation. All right. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to choose a list, and again, yours is going to be different in Infusionsoft, right? It won't be called a list. It'll be called I don't know exactly what it's called. If you're in your Infusionsoft and you want to let us know what it's called, that's fine. That would be awesome. But again, this is where it starts getting different, right? But all I'm basically doing is telling ActiveCampaign where I want the lead to go. So I would choose, in this case, I would choose a list. Now, here's where everything is the same. When you're going to be sending an email address to any email service provider, right? So what you're going to want to do is come over here to where it's got the little blue blinky thing, and that's a drop-down menu. And what you're going to do is you're going to choose email. Okay? So whatever email address gets put in the email field, that is what's going to go in here. If you're collecting a name, then whatever was in the name field, you would choose that as, and whatever, full name, whatever the field is for your email service provider, that's what you would put there. If you collect a phone number, same thing. Like in your survey, I know a lot of people choose phone number because again, it's part of the survey process. So if you choose a phone number, you would just come over here and grab phone. Now let's say for your segmentations questions, like in our case, I'm going to come back over here to build, and we've got our segmentation questions, right? We've got the roadblock holding you back. So what I would look for here is the field for wherever I wanted the roadblock to be. Let's just call it main segmentation, right? So what I would do here is I would come over and I would pull down Zapier test seg Q1, right? Because that was the main question. If you do, like in my case here, both of these questions are the same segmentation. So I would actually choose, you can put multiple fields on one. You see here, you can actually put multiple responses in one field if you want to. You can separate them. I believe you can actually put a comma. Yep. You can even separate them by a comma. You don't have to put two in one field. In this specific case, it fits. In your case, if you have more than one question, you would have different fields to put your questions into. Now, I'm going to give you another little trick to do inside of Zapier, and it's with tagging. Because what I like to do with tagging is if somebody actually fills out a specific survey, I want to say that survey got completed. So if your lead comes through here, I would actually create this tag called Zap test, right? So that any lead that comes through that fills out this form, they're going to have a tag applied to it that's called Zap test. And so I can do, later on, I can pull all the emails and send an email broadcast out to, or do email marketing to everyone with the tag Zap test. Or I could go even further and say I can send an email to everyone who has the tag Zap test, who also has hitting my goals and deadlines, or knowing what's really working today. Does that make sense? So what you're looking for here, and what these fields mean, so Zap test seg Q1 isn't what's going to go through. It's whatever they chose in this field that gets entered into this field here and gets sent over to your email marketing service. So once you're done setting up your lead, you have it to where it's got all the data that you want it to from Bucket. You would come over here, hit continue, and then it shows you what the lead would look like. It'll tell you where it's going, what the email address is, and you notice it's got like some lorem ipsum type information in here. That's just because that's the test lead. Once you publish and start passing regular data through, it sends whatever gets actually filled into the funnel. So we'll create and continue. It sends that info over to ActiveCampaign. Everything's successful, ready to go. You click Finish, and then once you turn your Zap on and leads start getting entered into the published version of your segmentation funnel or your discovery survey, those leads, those contact details will be sent to your email service provider. But that's the thing. Make sure you heard what I said. Only in the published version. If you're trying to do it in the preview, it's not going to make its way into the email service provider. Those leads won't go into your email marketing service. It has to be the published link. And that's how you connect Zapier. I mean, it's as you can see, it's not rocket science. It's all pretty straightforward. And then once you have it in, like I said, once you're using the published link, the live data comes in whenever Zapier does its little. What it'll do is it'll come and check for new leads. Every time it finds new leads, it'll send those to your email service provider. So this is the time of the webinar where we get into questions. Like I said before, we always like to get to the Q&A part of this real quick because, again, this is, if you have questions that come in and I can answer them in front of the group, if you think that would be helpful, feel free to ask those now. And I will pull this thing up. Mr. J, do we have anything coming in here? I'm over here pulling.
Well, not right now. We still don't have any question. We had a couple of questions about outcomes, but they were just clarified through the chat. There seemed to be a confusion between outcome pages and thank you pages.
Okay, I'll see what I can do about that. I'm pulling it up right now. So, hello, Virginia. It looks like you have a question about outcome. Okay, so outcome pages are on the segmentation funnel. Thank you pages are on the survey, and so when you see outcome pages over here on segmentation funnel, then that's because we're in a segmentation funnel itself instead of a survey. So if you're working on a survey, what you're looking to do is add a thank you page. So let's see if I got one with 0 here. So you can see what I'm saying. So outcome pages, you can have multiple outcomes. Thank you page or the discovery survey, you only have the single thank you page. So I don't know if that clears up what you're asking.
Yeah, that probably answered the question because there was a little bit of confusion between because probably they were actually going with you through the software. So since you mentioned outcome pages, maybe they were in Discover section, so I couldn't see the outcome pages.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Well,
we have one more question from Lee. It says, "What is all of the data that can be sent to your autoresponder?"
Oh, that's a good question. So Lee, you can send the entire, you can send your entire survey, or you can send your entire segmentation funnel to your email marketing service platform, right? So anything that you have a Zapier tag on, you can send that over to your email marketing service. So like you see here, we've got Q1. This is on I'm back in a survey again. So if I wanted to, I could say, oh, here we go. Bucket Q or questionnaire SMIQ, right? Because this is marked as the single most important question. So then in Zapier, I would just tell hey Zapier, send active campaign whatever this lead fills out in their SMIQ, so I can pull it in the autoresponder later. You can add it to every question, and so if you have 20 questions, you can add 20 Zapier tags and pull all of that info into your into your lead. On the contact info screen in the survey or in the lead capture screen, you can capture all that info. So if you've got, you know, name, email, phone, and then whatever other, you can pass that through as well. So literally everything somebody fills in on your survey can be sent to your email marketing service. Does that help? Does that answer that question?
Yeah, definitely. Well, we have another question from Virginia. It says, do we replicate the tags we created in Bucket into ActiveCampaign before integrating with Zapier?
Okay, that's another great question, Virginia. So there's two ways of doing that. So you can, you know, let's say you're in here. Let's just want to go back here and save this page. So let's say we go back to our Discover survey, and you know we're adding Zapier tags. Well, obviously those Zapier tags need a place to send to. Like you're going to need a place for those to go in your autoresponder. So yeah, once you create the fields, you say, okay, I know I'm going to ask these questions. Then you definitely want to go over to your email marketing service and make sure that you you have those fields available in your email marketing service. So in this case, let's just say for ActiveCampaign, I would want to, you know, if I'm going to ask all these questions, I'm going to come over to, let's say a contact. Actually, it would be in list. I would come over here and do manage fields, and I would add all the fields that I plan on asking. So like roadblock or SMIQ or, you know what I'm saying? So you would add those fields in here. That way, inside of Zapier, let's go back to the template. That way, in Zapier, those fields will be available for you to add your, add the responses from Bucket into. But let's say this. Let's say you're adding your stuff in. You're like, oh goodness, I forgot to put a field in. You know, because you thought you put it in, but let's say you didn't. Well, you can always go back to your email service provider, right? Create the field and come back over to Zapier and click refresh fields, and then Zapier will go back to your email service provider, get whatever fields weren't already there, and give them to you so that you can, from there you can go on and add the field in. Does that make sense, or was that confusing? I just want to be sure. Here, I'll pull that up here.
Well, it looks like it did answer the question because we don't have anything on the chat box. Yes, she just confirmed she definitely understood. And we have another one, which is, this is a good question to clarify some doubts for everybody about tags. There's a question about the format of the Zapier tags. Here's an example that was given by Nadine. It says if it has to be men or woman or other, taking that as a choice, if it has to be all together or if they can be separate, men, space, or space, woman, space, other, space, other.
Okay, the format could be whatever you want it to be. That doesn't matter. You can have spaces or you can have not. But what I'm looking at here, and I want to be sure, Nadine, because I'm looking at your question, and what I want to make sure you understand is that the value, whatever someone chose, is going to be what comes back, right? So let's say here, just to kind of use your example, I'm going to create a question. I'm going to call it man. What is your gender? Right? And then I'm going to say my tag is going to be something like Zapier test seg gender. Okay? Or you can just make it gender. I do things a little bit different. You don't have to do things the way I do. Just to make it simple, gender, right? And then you've got man, woman, other. Oh, if I could spell other, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? All right, so then you've got, and then I'm going to save that. So what's happened here, now what's happening is what I'm going to do, and I'll go back to Zapier and show you this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to have to, since it's an, hold on one second. I'm going to do this. I'm going to bring down what I had to do here, since that's a new field. I came back over to get the new field so that I can use it over in Zapier. But so I called it gender, right? And then what I'm going to do is in the email service provider, I'm going to, let's just say, instead of job title, let's just call that gender, right? Let's just say that field is for gender. So then what I'm going to do is, oh, did I see it? I may not have. If it doesn't pop up now, I'm going to. Here, let me make sure I saved. Oh, I did not save it. So you got to make sure you you got to make sure you save it. Otherwise, it's just error, and Zapier doesn't know it exists. So I'm going to do that one more time. If you're missing choices, you can retest step 1. Retest. Now go back to template, and let's just pretend full name is gender this time, so I don't have to scroll around looking. So then what I would do is you know how it is when it doesn't work exactly the way you wanted it to. Oh wait, do I have the right? Well, sometimes things just don't work out exactly the way they should. All right. Well, what we were supposed to see here? Am I just missing? Am I crazy? Can anybody else see it? No, it is just not popping up. What was supposed to pop up there is the word gender, right? Because from your question, it looked like you were asking if the tag needs to be the actual, and I may have gone completely off here, but it looked like your question was about, man, woman, or other, like what you were typing in was going to be what they chose. What you would type in, or what you would choose in Zapier, is the word gender, and then based on what the person chose, that's what gets sent over to your email marketing service. So if I didn't completely confuse you with that, let me know.
Jeremy, I think it has to do with the survey it's selected at the beginning, because you created a new Discover survey, and it looks like at the beginning, at the bucket side, it has a segmentation funnel selected right there. I think it's there. You have a Discover survey, and I think you've selected there a
Oh, dude, you're right. Okay, that's right, because I went into another one. Oh my gosh. See what happens? Look at that, folks. See, this, and I know for a fact this is what he deals with on a daily basis. I was about 5 seconds away from hitting the chat button and telling him that bucket.io didn't work at all, ever, not one time. And then he would be like, oh, no, dude. You just chose the wrong thing. See, folks, that's why you don't listen to me. That's right. I forgot. I went into the to that questionnaire just to kind of do a test. All right. Well, anyways, so the now if I go all the way back through that again, it'll just be another nightmare. Let me just ask if that made sense. So I'm looking at Peggy's question here. Did he add to the same survey as he's using as a? No, I didn't. Peggy asked if I had to the same survey as I had pulled up in Zapier, and the answer was no. That was the old that was the segmentation funnel we had been working on. So I'm just a crazy person.
Okay. Now we have another question from Don. In case it's possible, he would like to see, and if you can show him where the journalist address will be added to, so that Zapier can connect with his ESP.
Journaling address. I'm looking at that right now. Do you know what that means?
I believe he's referring to the place where the address, you select the email address so it can be sent over to this to the ESP.
Oh, yeah, sure, absolutely. Let me, oh my God, dude, I've got it all twisted up over here. Let me see if I can untwist this. Let me see if I can untwist what I've done and just get you to that part, Don, so you can see what I'm talking, so I can answer your question. All right. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come back over to, anytime you need to edit your lead, like your lead information before it gets sent over to your email service provider, it's over here called Edit Template. And what we did here is again, all of these look different. So if you've got yours pulled up right now, and let's say you're using MailChimp, or if you're using Drip or GetResponse, this screen is going to look different for everyone. Even if you use ActiveCampaign, it'll look a little different because you don't have the same, fields that I do, like total amount owed and stuff like that. But everyone will have an email address. And the way that you add that, the email address, once it comes in, is you come over here and you choose email. You only want one. So if there's two, just hit backspace and delete one. But yeah, you just choose email and hit continue. And that's it. Did that answer your question, Don? Is that what you were asking?
We're waiting for a confirmation from Don.
Okay, great.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Nadine. Nadine, I think we got her question correct, and I'm glad you didn't mind me messing it up a little bit. All right, so let me do this while we're here. I'm going to go ahead and put the invitation out to you guys for the one-on-one call. We're getting close to the top of the hour, the 5 o'clock. If you guys would like to schedule a one-on-one, let me just, first of all, let me just kind of remind you of what that is, just so you know. The one-on-one calls are free, and it's an ideal step for you. You've probably heard me say this before, but it's perfect for you if, as long as you've activated bucket.io, you can use this one-on-one call. All right. If you haven't activated it, obviously you're not a customer yet, so we can't give you the one-on-one service. But once you've activated, you can use it, no matter how new or how recent or how little or much you've used the service. If you have a specific question or you're feeling blocked in any way, whether it's over the Zapier or if there's something else that you just want someone to look at with you, then you're certainly invited to get on that schedule. If you just want, like I said, the way that these things work is we give you a call, and usually through Zoom or Skype, and do a screen share where I just kind of look over your shoulder, point you in the right direction. You'll do all the driving, but we just walk you through each process wherever you're stuck, just kind of get you step by step. And, even if you're not sure what you don't know, but you do know, you want at least some kind of guidance, even if it's just a matter of looking at it and saying, yeah, that looks great, or maybe make a few changes. Those kind of calls perfect for some people because we're here to help. You know, it's 15 minutes. It's specific focus on your account, your funnels, your surveys. And like I said, I can't say this enough. There really is no problem too large or small. I had one guy tell me to talk to him like a 4-year-old. I won't treat you like a 4-year-old, but I won't talk like way over your head, give you acronyms. Neither will any of our other bucket specialists. The big idea is to make sure you're on track and always moving forward, not sitting there stuck in bucket with tech overwhelm. That's everyone's least favorite place to be, and that's what these one-on-one calls do. They get you over that. In fact, you may recognize some of these little testimonials when they talk to people on these calls. I'm not going to read through them all because a lot of it's just talking about how awesome I personally am, and what kind of person would I be to read each of these out loud? But the fact is, it's a free call. It's perfect for those of you who you want to keep moving forward. You don't want to sit there and get stuck. You don't want to end up in some other software product that you end up just not using. Right? It's the free trial comes to an end and you're just like, I never could figure it out, so I'm done. We want to make sure you're moving forward. You're getting responses and always using Bucket as best as you possibly can. So the limit, obviously, it's a very limited number. It's the schedule is pretty tight. But once I put the link in, jump in there, take action, get your call scheduled, and let me get you that right now. Let's see. And of course, I'm going to use this new one. All right, I'm going to paste this link in the chat. And like I said, feel free to jump in there if you need to go. Nadine, just so you know, it looks like one of my dudes over here got with you already. But just so you guys know, Nadine raised a great point. She says, the call sounds awesome. I just need to wait till I've played with it a little more so I don't waste it. Here's the good news. The good news is all we require that you do is go through a webinar to get your questions answered. If you can get an answer there, great. If you're still like, golly, I really wish somebody would just look at this thing, or I tried it and it didn't work. Whatever your issue is, you can jump in. Jump in for a one-on-one call. The only thing that we ask, like I said, is that you go through a webinar and you try to get your question answered there. If you still can't, boom, jump on a one-on-one call. You can't run out of them yet. That may change one day, but for now, we really want to make sure that those of you who are using this, obviously, make your way through it. So I'm looking for questions, digging around, looking around. Looks like we've got everything. If you've got any last second, so do we sign up on the discovery link? Yeah, so that's exactly right. Nadine asked, do we sign up on the discovery link that I just put in the chat? Yes, we use obviously our own. Put up the link in there one more time. Yes, we use eat our own dog food around here. I just created this one just now so I can keep track of everyone going through it. Just fill out a brief issue, kind of maybe what your issue is, what you're dealing with on that on the survey form, and go through the schedule. Pick out the best time for you. And we have had issues with the schedule in the last couple of weeks. They are all good now. Everything's good. No one will be left behind, including you, Mr. Don. It should be here, Virginia. Let me give you that link one more time. Virginia is asking, where's the schedule? What you do is you just fill out this the short survey, and the next screen will have our schedule on there for you. So it looks like we've got all the questions answered for now. Guys, again, this will be recorded. We will be posting it. You will get access to the replay link if you need it later on. I want to tell you thank you so much for getting on these. They really help us to understand what's happening with you. And again, like I said, we hold these every Tuesday. We have a 9 o'clock and a 4 o'clock Central Standard Time. You should get an email letting you know in advance what the subjects are going to be about. So you'll know what each webinar is about, so you don't end up in one that maybe is not right for you. Other than that, ladies and gents, I am Jeremy Estes again, and I will be signing out, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your week.